Welcome to the Simply Be Found Huddle, where we talk about everything business related and marketing and just how things are going out there in the business world to drive more sales and get more traction and eyeballs on your business. Today, we have our guest, Crissy. Crissy, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Oh, we're great. Thank you.
Doing good. About 10 today. So out of 10, I guess that's not how I wanted that to go. It sounded better in my head. But yeah. So, Crissy, why don't you tell her a bit about you and kind of what you're about and all that stuff while I'm having a brain frog.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I am creating a movement of visible CEOs because so many women specifically struggle with getting visible. They struggle putting themselves out there. They struggle talking about their offers, right? And giving their offers an opportunity to be in the spotlight. So my goal is to create a movement of visible CEOs who increase their impact, their influence, and their income. Because again, there are so many parts of our businesses that get to be visible, specifically when we're talking about marketing. And that can look like us, our faces, if we're the face of our brand. It can look like our messaging, like, is it clear? Is it visible? Do people understand it? Our offers, are they getting the spotlight? And so many other things. I really like to support women and help them to be authentic, right? Because the more authentic we are, the more that we are willing to show up online, the more that our audience can connect with us. Because when we are seen truly in our true authentic state, our audience can feel seen as well.
So I was actually an advisor, and Dean, I don't even know if you know this about my past. I was an advisor for a women's investor group. So they did a lot of stuff for investing in just women-led stuff. It no longer exists today. They still have their groups and their cliques, but it's really not what it was. The main founder that was putting all the money into it only invested in women-ran companies and for women CEOs. And she had that was her whole entire dream. She ended up passing away. And so, but they still stay connected as a group, but it's not, the foundation is no longer there the way it was. But I did a lot of advising for them on the marketing world and how to be able to stand out, how to be able to hold themselves and change kind of the whole entire way that they were doing things to be able to get in there. And it's an interesting piece of what that's become, especially in the tech space.
Go for it. Oh, that's right. But no, I was kind of looking at your website, Crissy, and it looks like you focus primarily on women-based companies. Is that true?
Most of my programming, so when I do group programming, it's for women only, but I have had men one-on-one clients, because even though I see typically women are the ones who struggle the most with this, there are obviously guys who struggle with it too.
Right. What do you think the top struggles are?
When it comes to visibility?
When it comes to visibility, I'm curious what you're thinking.
Fears wrapped around, what are people going to think? Why should I talk about this topic when people can go Google it, or well, today they can chat GPT it? What makes me so special? People want to hear what I have to say. And then everyone has this fear of being canceled because we see it happening so much. So I see that. And then obviously afraid of being salesy. So when visible CEOs are trying to sell, they feel like they should only talk about it a couple times, when we know it used to be the power of 7. It's like the power of like 25 now, like 25 times that you have to see something. That means you're not posting it 25 times. Somebody needs to see it 25 times. So let's think about what that number looks like. So that's what I see 28 so now. Is it 28?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and power 28 sounds a lot better than power 25. From a marketing aspect, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I've been seeing it's about 28 touches is typical across all industries.
Yeah, and we forget. I think the study is, we see online today, we see about 8 full-length feature films a day worth of information. That's a lot. That's a lot that we're seeing and we have access to.
So there was a Harvard study that, I think it was Harvard that did it, that said that we see between 250 to 500 advertisements on a given day.
That's crazy.
Our brain was never designed to be able to handle that much information.
No, not at all. No wonder we all have a touch of ADHD.
Well, what's even made it even worse is, back a few years ago, it used to be a mass blanketing of touches, because it wasn't like it is now, with the AI, with the algorithms and everything is more directed. So that becomes a little more of an interesting process in the algorithm piece, especially if you're doing social media as well. So do you focus mostly on the social media side then, Crissy, or is it everywhere? I mean, your websites, getting out in front of people, talking, doing podcasts. I know that's what we're doing, but where do you like to? When you say CEOs, I'm assuming small business owners you're considering a CEO kind of level, kind of thing.
Yeah, mostly online, but I am also starting to really talk about, because of AI, the more people can see you as a human with other humans, whether it's speaking events or networking events or creating your own events, we're going to see that be so much more important in 2025 and beyond.
Do you change your philosophy when it's local businesses versus a regional business on being out there? So like if you're just concentrating on a city of 50,000, where's your main base is versus the whole state of Ohio or Colorado or wherever. Do you change that philosophy a little bit on how you approach that?
A little. And again, it really, if I'm speaking broad, I would still say everybody does the same thing. When I know your business, that's when we get more detailed, and it's not a one size fits all strategy.
Gotcha.
So when you're going through and you're doing things, and this has been a big conversation that I've been having a lot with Dean and I had this conversation last week, and I've had it with a couple members of how much should you have when you're doing the whole entire face recognition and having, your face out there, putting that out there, where's the breaking point in your opinion from having that you be the brand versus it being your personal brand attached to the business? And what are you kind of seeing? What's your philosophies on that, if that makes sense?
Slightly, but if I don't answer it correctly, just ask me a little deeper. But what I see personally is that most small businesses, we don't have a spokesperson, right? And this is what I also see, because so many people are trying to build brands with faceless, or they're using AI video now. And I don't know if you know this or not, but there's a search, Google search, I think, is up 400%. Is this real or AI? I'm seeing it on TikTok, people saying, is this AI? And I feel like we're losing trust. So the more that we can show our face, the more, I love when you said you don't really edit much of this podcast, the more you hear me say, the more you hear me, I don't even know where I was going with this. Like those types of things when I'm talking, when I'm on live video, are going to humanize me more than somebody that is using perfection or overproduction or even AI to do their content. Because again, another big fear of getting visible is it's not perfect enough. It's not perfect enough. And we dehumanize ourselves when we are trying to be perfect, because again, that's what I'm seeing on TikTok is people are so perfect, or they're speeding up their videos and people are like, is this AI? Is this real? Like people don't know. And when they don't know, you lose trust, right? And if you've built trust and you lose trust, it's going to be 20 times harder to get it back.
Well, chances of getting it back online is almost slim to none.
Yeah.
Because chances are the algorithm can learn what's happening inside of there. So when I was on multiple different podcasts before starting the huddle and talking Dean into doing this, and Dean's had a hard time getting over coming on camera. It's like, but it's one of those things to where I wanted to come out and I was like, for one, we can produce faster. We can put content out there and be able to have it at a high volume. The other piece that you can do with that is it makes you to where you have a connection. You have no connection when you edit so much that you take out the things that make us human. So I agree 100% with that. Yeah. Those those pauses, all that stuff. So if we went back in time and I was doing my whole entire sales coaching pieces, I would purposely talk about pauses, being able to connect, building rapport by sometimes not necessarily being, I guess, how would you word this? Sometimes having that brain fog and kind of just getting out there and doing it can build rapport almost more than being 100% perfect, because nobody is 100% perfect, and nobody's not going to mess up.
Exactly.
I mean, if I had a podcast and it mess up, and I'd be in trouble.
Hold it. Yeah, you mean nobody? I thought I made a mistake once, but I was wrong. So that kind of thing. So Crissy, walk me through the process. Like when you get a new business CEO or business owner, what's the process to get them to that you like to approach? I know that Rob and I have a certain idea, but I love to always hear other people's thoughts processes. How do you get, I'm assuming you interview them, you get to talking, and there's some classes, but so kind of walk me through that if you don't mind, or walk us through that.
Yeah, specifically to help people obviously be visible. The number one thing that you got to know is, what is the result you provide your person? What is the solution that you have? And do you believe in it wholeheartedly enough to put yourself out there and talk about it, so that there is conviction, there is passion behind it? And it goes hand in hand. I would say these are the two most important things. What's the solution you provide? And the second thing is, who are you providing it for? Because it is not everyone. Because we all know when you market to everyone, you literally market to no one. So those are the two most important things. Because if I tell you to just go press record, just go on video, that's not going to serve you, right? That's not going to serve you. You really need to know who you're talking to and how you can support and serve them in the long run. What is the transformation that you can provide them? So those are the two things first. And then we get clear on your messaging. And then we get you on video if you're not already on video. I deal with a lot of introverts. Is anybody an introvert here? Okay. I am a big introvert. I never wanted to be the center of attention. Like, that was my goal. When I first started this business, I was the behind the scenes girl. I made everybody else visible. I made everybody else look good, but I was hiding. And then I realized when you want to expand this thing, you really got to put yourself out there. And so that really is the path, is having that clear visibility, getting rid of all the fog, right? Getting rid of the I don't know who I'm talking to, and getting rid of I don't know the result I provide, like making that so clear and so clear to you that it's so much easier and natural for you to get on camera and talk about it. Because if you're clear, they're going to be clear. Right. But when you're confused, nobody else is going to understand what you're talking about either. So really, it starts with you. There's a lot of internal things that we work on, and a lot of behind the scenes things that we work on before we ever talk about, let's go get on video now. Let's go get you some podcast interviews now. Let's get clear on who we are and what we do and what we bring to the table. Or what is the TikTok? It's like, it's not what I bring to the table. I am the table. So how are you the table?
I post to TikTok all the time, but I don't really watch TikTok. So I hear some of those trends and I'm like, I haven't heard of that one yet. Yeah. I used it for about 3 weeks to be able to kind of get an idea of what kind of market was out there, but that was about it.
Yeah.
I'm more of a YouTube kind of guy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
When it comes to getting somebody out of their shell and breaking through, I mean, it's one of those things where I pitch it this way of going through, and you have a camera in your pocket. You can get done doing whatever job you just did, whatever quote you just gave. You can record that video of yourself talking about that. For one, you have notes now on that project. You have all of your stuff there. You can then take that video, upload it onto YouTube, get your transcript. Now you have your social media. Now you have your video. You have all those things. Don't worry about the quality. Don't worry about if you screw up. Just get the content out the door, and that is real, that you can have an opportunity on, because you don't know if that's going to be the video that's going to make your business just thrive. It doesn't matter if it's local or if it's going viral, really, or any of those things. But you might get more sales from that just by talking about the problem that you had. Do you kind of take that same approach, or do you have a different approach on that?
No, I mean, I totally agree with that. Like, when you know your person's problem, you can solve it, right? And when you explain that to them, because most people are not watching your videos for all the things that right? They're what's in it for me, and that's what they want to know. What's in this for me? Like this podcast, what's in it for me, right? They want to know what are they going to get out of it? And so always having that approach, obviously putting in you in it and being authentic in it, and maybe, sharing a story or a transformation you've had, but also at the end of the day, just remembering they're more concerned with what's in it for them.
Right. I think that happens with a lot of business owners and stuff. They're really proud of, I'm really proud of my business and the things we've done. Nobody cares. They want, when people are looking for you, you got to be visible enough for them to find you, but you have to have a solution for the person looking for you. I mean, like you said, what's in it for the person looking to use your business or to use your service? then I think people get hung up on that a lot. I mean, it's really good to be proud of yourself, but nobody cares except for maybe you. I mean, it's good information, but it's not something you want to put yourself out there in front of you. It sounds to me that's where you're at too. With that,
well, it's one of those things to where no one really cares that you've been in business 50 plus years. No one cares that you think you're the best. Nobody cares about any of those pieces. Can you solve my problem? It goes back into what the caveman days of our brain of when it first got developed. Can I eat it? Can I mate with it? Do I need to fight it? Is it going to hurt me? Is it going to kill me? Is it going to do all those different things? That's when we go to a website, when we hop on social media, we're either looking for entertainment or we are looking for a problem, a solution to our problems that we have.
Yeah.
So I spent some time on Facebook and Twitter. Well, I guess X. I still like to call it Twitter, and LinkedIn over the weekend. And it was one of those things to where I was looking at a lot of the businesses' social media posts, and it doesn't solve my problem. Their photos are super busy. They don't treat it like a thumbnail. They talk about all this stuff. All I care about is solving my problem. You're getting way too winded in here and all the different stuff. And I'm like, this is no wonder we're on such information overload.
Yeah.
And let's solve some problems, because they really don't care about anything else. They just want their problem solved.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with, there's a lot of noise, but when you're in it for the right reasons, there's not a lot of competition. I still agree. Gary Vee said it years ago, the best marketing strategy is to care. And when you care, like, people are going to see and feel that intention behind everything that you do.
Yeah. I mean, Gary Vee did also talks about, having everything on different social media networks be a little bit different. I mean, it's one of those things to where I definitely think it's a different vibe inside of each of those pieces to be able to do it. Yeah. But you have to have some personality. You have to give a crap, because if you don't give a shit, it's not going to go through. But you have to be able to solve the problem at the same time. Yes. And you have to build that relationship up. Just like you can't be selling all the time on your social media. It's just not going to work for you. You have to have some kind of value for them to keep following you. And there's a lot of stuff inside of that. Now, since we talked about introverts and all that different stuff, do you follow Vanessa Van Edwardson?
Yes, I've read both of her books. What is it? Cues, and I can't remember the other one. I don't know what
the other one is.
Yeah, but yes, very, very fascinating. So much of those two books are things that I've learned about, like how to present on social media, especially in video, and how to pull people in, how to grab attention, how to build trust. Like, so many good tips. I think the first one I read was when you scratch your face, like, that's like, when you're like this and you touch your face, it signals mistrust. It's right. Kind of like when COVID happened and we were wearing masks and they're like, don't touch your face. And you go in the grocery store, like, why is my face itching? Because you literally just told me not to touch it. So that was my first thing. Every time I would get on live video,
my face itches. God dang it.
Yeah, my nose would itch. It was like, oh my gosh, this is driving me crazy. Like, I know I'm not supposed to scratch it, but I really have to scratch it right now.
So there's a whole entire study on that. I mean, there's a whole military piece of when they do different types of going through and getting information from someone but if you want to touch your nose, there's actually a nerve inside of your nose that you want to scratch it if you're lying. It's one of the big detections. Now, the other thing that can throw that completely off is if you have an itch and you're not scratching it and it's a real true itch, you also look like you're lying, because then you're like,
yeah, I know my eye itches. But yeah. No, it's really interesting, the cues that we all put off. I mean, one of the things I listen to her book or her videos is I always sit with my hands like this. I usually do, which is but you don't want to do the the finger thing, because but all the visual cues that happen as well as the verbal information's out there is really important. But you can't get really hung up on it, because then it looks like it's a staged process again. So
yeah, it's kind of one of those things. Like, one of the things I did a crazy thing in March, and I went back. I did 126 live videos, and I went back and watched every single one of them. Where are my like ticks? What are the things that I do? What are the words I say all the time? I love like and write. Whew, say them way too many times. So it's just great to notice those things. And they're like, oh, I don't really like that I do that. I'm not going to stop getting on video. I'm still going to say write and like, but I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to be more cognizant of it. It's also, I realized I was saying, I think, instead of I know, when I knew things. And so it was just great to see the words that I use and the things that I said in order to create a stronger presence when I show up being that thought leader, being that expert. So it is great to watch it, not dwell on it, right? Not keep you from like, maybe I should use AI. No, it really is about being like naturally you, but also knowing that we're all work in progress all the time.
You should work with a bunch of data science people. They tell me I use the word awesome way too much, and that's the word I've been trying. I haven't said it until just now, and that's one of my favorite. That's awesome.
Mine's amazing. I love amazing. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Rob's team goes, Dean, you use awesome way too much in the videos.
So we utilize. So you talked about using AI and how AI is kind of going in and using it. You talked about going through and looking at all your old videos. Have you ever taken all of your videos, loaded them into a GPT, and said, "Analyze all my videos. I want to know where I conflicted with myself, which video it was in, and had it go through and give any kind of output to any of your videos?"
So not the video, but I will transcribe every video. And so I take the transcription and say, rate this, tell me where I can improve. Where did I not go into detail? Where was I so like really redundant? And then obviously tell me anything else you think. But yeah, like you need a stronger call to action. You were really superficial on this. Like you could go deeper on this. You hung on this topic way too long. But again, like I need that, right? How do we improve? We do not grow without discomfort. So you get to know that. I just had a program in April that was called Visible and in Demand. And all my clients that came through this program, I said, I'm going to go through your videos and I'm going to give you like constructive, I hate the word criticism, but the only way you're going to improve is if I call it out, right? I'm going to show you what you're doing. Are you talking too fast? Are you moving your hands way too much? Are you not moving your hands enough? Like really like looking at them and helping them be more grounded and convicted in the video that they put out. Because again, we don't improve. And so yes, I've totally done that because I want to get better. I want to improve. I'm not here. What is it? You're either learning or dying, and I'm here to learn. I'm here to improve every single day.
So you talked about hand movements. One of the things everybody, the one thing about this format is we've had some people say, we can't see your hands because Rob and I talk with our hands a lot, but I have to be conscious to bring it up into the screen when I talk because of the way we just had the layout done. But it is really important because it shows that you're involved, that you are thinking about it. It's not a canned response and everything. So there's so many cues and so many important things, but you're right though. If failure is part of growing, and if you improve on it, you don't fail and keep doing it over. That what does Mike say about that, Rob? That's a sign of insanity. If you keep doing things over, what's his? I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought there. And Rob's not answering.
I don't know what you're referring to.
Oh, come on now. It's like you keep doing things over and over again. It's the
definition of insanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I was trying to think something that Mike says, and I'm like, I can't think of what Mike says, but I can't think of what everybody says to that.
Yeah, you know how he used to always say that. We're doing it over and over again.
I mean, it's the definition of insanity to keep doing it. Going back to the AI and the transcript piece, try doing it with multiple videos.
Okay.
And see what it does, and have it look at all those videos and stack it up, because it'll actually collect more data points on it, and it'll analyze you over time versus just that one video. I get different feedback when I put multiple in there. Usually it takes 5 to 8 of them, depends on how long they are, and I get really good feedback based on that. Granted, it can't see you, doesn't know your hand gestures, doesn't know how many times. My whole entire tick is I readjust myself for the seat all the time because I get uncomfortable and then I readjust. I mean, that'd be probably the biggest tick I've ever seen in any of my videos.
A fidgeter. I'm a fidgeter for sure.
Well, that's why I have this. So if anybody ever sees my hands, I'm constantly doing this down here, but that's just, normally, if I'm talking on stage or any of that stuff, I'm walking. and I'm walking back and forth, and I'm engaged with my hands the whole 9 yards. Well, when I do that on video, for one, it's really hard to do inside of a small space.
Yeah.
I wish I had a big stage all the time to be able to do that on, but that might hit my ego way too much. But it's it's one of those things to where when I stand and I do video, I come across more aggressive unless I'm in front of the crowd and can be able to read the room of where that was. And that was something, Dean, you pointed out a long time ago, or probably about a few weeks ago to me, actually.
Was that
when I tried doing the whole standing during a podcast? I came.
Okay. He tried to change it up a little bit and tried to stand, but then he starts to. He's like a caged animal. He starts to pace back and forth, and he can't help himself. But that's his nature. And so, but a live performance versus what we're doing now is you have to interact differently when you have an audience in front of you. It's your engagement's different.
Right. But go ahead. Sorry.
No. Go ahead. No.
I also think that we get to change it up because if I'm sitting in this spot every single time I'm on video, let's say, and I'm coming across somebody's YouTube or their Facebook feed, right? They're going to get bored with that. So I do recommend, I love when my clients who are more like this, they're more closed off and don't have really big movements to stand up. I love when they change up their background. I love when they change up where they're doing their videos. So I think the more that we can change, not every day, but every few weeks, change up what you're doing. And it's really going to bring attention. And standing up does take up more space. And some women need this more than men because my husband's 6'4", so he doesn't need to stand up to take up space. But some of us women do.
Well, I mean, that's a big point. Now, see, if I stand up, the problem with for mine being 6'2" and inside of the basement, I've got heat ducts that are right above me.
Yeah.
So if I go where I probably have my best view in my background, it'd be absolutely awesome. You're going to see the ceiling, and it's going to look like my head is like right on the ceiling, and that's not a good look.
Yeah. True. Know your location.
Right. You got hit. You get some, you lose some.
Yeah.
And that would be a loss. But I mean, I was like all excited to have it all set up. Like, oh, it looks great on camera. I got up there to the position. I was like, nope.
So one of the experiments I want to try, and Rob and I've talked about it, is can we do this StreamYard live outside? But then again, you have all these other noises and things going on. Would it be good? Would it be bad? Who knows? But we need to try one, Rob, just to see how that goes. And that's all part of the experimentation. I need to set up the
patio. Everything's green in the backyard. It'd be a pretty background for me. I'm sure that I didn't pay attention when I was at your house the other day. I didn't pay attention if things were greening up at your place or not.
Yeah, we're starting to. We're so far behind Midwest, though. The Midwest is already out there going. We're just coming out. Yeah, we had 36 degrees here at our place at Fahrenheit this morning. So, we're still having those big fluctuations where the Midwest starts to warm up because of the lakes and everything where you're at, Crissy. And I miss that in some ways because our growing season starts so much earlier and stays longer because of the big water. But again, I went down a whole other rabbit hole. I told you I would do that.
With your gardening, if you both love gardening, you should be taking people outside.
Yes.
I do video outside quite often during the summer. I haven't done any this year, but it's been a weird year for just being busy. I mean, having two small kids, I'm constantly running around like crazy. I mean, it's amazing how life gets in the way. And then my brain kicks on when it's really noisy. I don't understand. It's like, oh, I got a great idea. It'd be great on video right now. And I'm like, I can't record it. Of course, that's how it's going to work. That's just nature's law. Crissy, what are the typical business types that you're working with?
Mostly online business coaches or service providers are the two big, or not business coaches, any type of coaches. I have like mindset coaches, life coaches, health and fitness coaches, and then a lot of service providers, which is my background, social media, marketing. Like that's what I did. I used to do that for my clients. So I see those. I see examples of where I've been in my business as who I attract. So a lot of those service providers are wanting to get away from so much one-on-one and wanting to build more one-to-many programming. And the same thing with the coaches. They want to get away from the one-on-one and create more one-to-many programming, because your revenue is just so much more limitless when you can do that.
Well, I mean, we did that same approach for us, and I agree 100%. Because, all right, so if you go back in my career, I used to go business to business and go talk. I mean, at the very beginning of having my agency back in 2008,
Yeah.
I'd go door to door and I'd talk to business owners. That was how you drummed up business and got it. You could only hit so many doors and hear no so many times to get enough yeses to make it. You can't scale at that level. When we started growing Simply Be Found, it was one of those things to where we didn't want to bring salespeople on. We had a long conversation about that, because then we have to deal with the problems of people being told things that we weren't in control. That's really not, we'd have to charge more. There's all kinds of stuff that comes into that. So how do you solve that? Well, we ended up actually solving it by doing more video, getting on YouTube, putting more content out, getting out there as all of us in there. We used to do phone calls. We killed our phone calls completely. It's either chat or email support. There's very few members that still get access to us by the phone, because it takes too much time and you can't scale at that point. And the people you were doing that with, it used to be needed to explain what every piece was inside of marketing. Now, if you're charging $10,000, $20,000 a year, it's worth having that phone call still. But if you're not at that level, you have to be really careful with how you separate your time, but yet you have to be able to get your personality out there. And I think video and podcasting and all of that has really opened that up. And just like I think someone had asked me the other day about webinars, if they're still a thing. And I'm like, why would you take the time to do a webinar unless you're going to have a conversation with your people, and make it interactive? There's really no reason to do that. You might as well just do a video and let them watch it when they want to watch it.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. And, it's crazy because there's so many opportunities. And I used to do sales calls because I was told that's what you had to do. And then people started buying that I didn't know, and buying high ticket. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't have to do sales calls. Like, I will get on the call with you if you really want to go down my programming and talk about it. But at the end of the day, like you said, most of it, we have voice opportunities and Instagram, Facebook, Messenger. We have email. We have so many other ways. All my websites have chat on them. All my landing pages have chat, so we can chat. So there really is no need for it, again, unless I'm doing a really, really high ticket service.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and those are rare because most people don't have the budget for it, or they're okay with just getting what they need and not having to have a conversation about it. We've entered a whole new world of marketing, I think, in 2025 and I think it's going to only get a little bit kind of I look at it as kind of we're in the teenage years of the digital world right now, because it's really awkward. There's certain groups that we've been doing it this way because this is the way we've always been doing it.
Yeah.
But then there's people breaking away from that, and what they're breaking away from is completely a different mindset than what we were 2, 3, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that as well?
Yeah. Like, we cannot be doing it the way we've always been doing it. Like that's actually one reason I love marketing, because it changes so much. I love change. Does everybody love change?
Yes, it
depends, but I love change.
It changes, but yet it repeats itself. It's like history.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, let's use AI, for example. AI was very much a hot topic, a hot term that's being used out there. Voice search is part of that piece. We use the hell out of it. But really, it's other pieces that have just been renamed. And that's probably my favorite thing about marketing is it just gets renamed. And marketers, if something really works really well, we will ruin it because we'll overuse the living hell out of it.
Very true.
And then in a couple of years, when you forget about it, we'll bring it back and call it something new. I mean,
so true.
And just keep repeating itself.
As technology grows, the cycles are changing too. The repeat, I mean, what happened 60 years ago, what happened 30 years ago. I mean, we're starting to see everything compressed, and the amount of information is just so amazing That how do you get through the noise? And that's the hard part. That's the hardest part to overcome.
Well, in breaking yourself from that noise, I really think as the business owner, you're probably the only person that can break through that noise and create that relationship. Because if you don't have the vibe of the business owner or the staff that's inside of it, so if you're talking about a larger staff, have your staff doing videos. If you don't have that vibe and you don't fit into that culture in this market, you're not going to hit them. Because if you're not the right fit, you're not the right fit, and it's going to be like pulling teeth, and it's not going to be good for either side of the fence.
No one's going to love your business more than you do, and that should come across in everything that you do.
Right.
Agreed.
I mean, that's an absolute huge piece. So, what are your predictions for this year? What do you think is going to happen between now and the end of the year, Crissy?
I think we're going to get into AI fatigue.
Are we already there? Because I think we're kind of already.
Well, yeah. I mean, especially as marketers, I know we're there, but I think the rest of the world is going to catch up to that. Again, I see this. There's going to be. I'm calling it. This is what I'm naming it. I don't think anybody else has called this yet. There's going to be a human luxury movement that's going to happen because we are going to need more human interaction. We are going to need more in-person events, seeing you with real people, with other people, right? And really cutting through that AI. So there's no question, this is not AI. Like, this is a real human being who's screwing up on social media, right? Messing up in her video, whatever that looks like, but really just humanizing the content. And people are going to yearn for more of that because you're going to question so much more. It's already harder to build trust, right? And so when we can show people more of us, I believe face to cam is going to be even more important. Like talking head videos are going to be even more important. Trends and stuff are great, but they're not going to convert. They're not going to convert the way you speaking to the camera is going to convert. And just really every time you show up on video and you're showing up in person or at an event, like letting your conviction, just letting it out, like whether it's you're crazy or whatever you want to call it, like letting it pour out of you and letting them feel it. Because just like, you know how you walk into a room or somebody walks into a room and everybody turns and looks, like you feel that energy. The same thing can happen on video. And the more that you let that out and you let that show, the more that you're going to attract people. You're going to be like so much more magnetic.
It's kind of like the mic drop. I mean, that's a whole entire piece that ends up being able to get yourself out there and being able to drop it down. I agree. I think we're looking for real connection. We're looking for real people. We're looking to know if something's fake or not.
Yes.
I think it's really fun to play around with the AI and be able to kick it back and have it do it. But the AI is always going to be your best friend. That algorithm is going to learn how to always be your cheerleader. It's not going to argue against you unless you program it to be able to do it that way. Exactly. And in this world, you're in control over your algorithm. You're in control of everything you see. So if you're only seeing negativity out there on your social media feeds and on YouTube or any of your marketing, do you know the best way of killing that?
Change it up.
All you have to do is just start searching for things that are positive, and next thing you know, that feed's going to start telling you everything that's positive. Because it's trying to go whatever direction you're going. So it's monitoring everything you're doing. So from a data aspect, there's data engineers that we're sitting inside of a room and we're coming up with ways to be able to connect with you on the way we think we can connect with you. So you have to make sure you change that part up and just look for the stuff you want to see. So if you want to change yourself up, I think that's going to be a big part of this year.
Yeah.
People taking more control over that, because the algorithms, I mean, if you do that, so there was a whole entire study done. If you do go and view 30 different videos on YouTube and they were all positive, you're going to see nothing but positive going forward. If you start searching for things that are negative, it only takes about 25 to 30 of those, and you'll start only seeing negative. I mean, you can change your algorithm around. So people are going to start changing that algorithm also to looking things that are not AI driven and that are very much real inside of there. So you got to keep all that in mind because, like I said, AI is going to be your biggest cheerleader, but it's not going to always be right. It's going to lead you the wrong way because it's only trying to make you happy.
Yeah, it's biased. It's an algorithm. It's an algorithm, just like everything else. I will say this. this is one thing I do love about TikTok. You can reset your algorithm.
Yep.
You know that? Like, I wish every platform would let me do that. So when political season was here, right, a couple months ago, I just kept seeing like, why is this happening? Because I stopped on a couple and watched, and I said, I got to get rid of this. So I would go and reset it like every 5 days because it would start showing me the same thing. And I really learned not to watch the things that I didn't want to see on my feed. But every platform should have that. You should be able to reset your algorithm. It would be like the most magical thing.
Well,
I like that. I like that.
It gives that total reset that makes it to where you can then kind of have a fresh eyes,
Yeah.
especially from a marketer's view. I'd love to see what someone else might see and not the stuff I'm seeing. That kind of goes into that same piece of people saying, well, I search for my own business and I rank this and I do this. Well, the more you search for yourself, you're just going to screw yourself up. It's not real results.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be able to look at it from a bias level. So if we're looking to see how you're ranking inside of search, we're going to look at that from about 30 to 40 different searches, if not more. Some of them are 500-600 different searches to find out where you ranked in those 500 to 600 searches. And it's computers that have no history on them whatsoever doing that search to come up with those data points because, I mean, and it's going to vary depending on what that person has all looked for. I mean, there's so many things that it's looking at.
Yeah.
And I would say probably the biggest thing for business owners doing that is they don't call. They never make a phone call to themselves. So then the algorithm thinks it's the wrong result because they never make the phone call. It's not a good result for you. You never choose that one.
That's true. That's true, though. I agree with that.
So, go ahead, Rob.
Oh, go for it.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, so, when I just listened to Rob, we're talking about results of how your business is found. It sounds to me like you work more on the human aspect than you do on some of the, how do you get the information out there better? Is that what you're really doing with when you're coaching your clients, or are you trying to do the whole universal piece of, you got to do this, you got to get people to understand your problem? I mean, it just gets really tough to communicate sometimes with small business owners and CEOs because they get a little squirrely. Like we have that happen where they're like, we're doing this, all of a sudden they went somewhere else. And how do you work with people like that in your program? If you don't, does that make sense? Am I making sense with my question, or am I rambling? So
we start with one thing. I mean, I'm on every platform. I don't expect any of my clients to be on every platform because they got too much going on. But what I do say is, like, be somewhere, like pick probably a meta product, right? And then get outside of meta, or pick what I call a short form marketing tool like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and then a long form marketing tool like blogging, podcasting, YouTube, right? So having that variety, but you can't do multiple things until you're consistent at one thing. And that's the number one thing that I see. Like 98% of business owners struggle being consistent one place, much less multiple places. So we focus on one place first, because again, I think Robert said this earlier, like being really, it's not just like, oh, let me put out a Facebook post, right? And then go slap it everywhere else, right? Because we want to be specific to the algorithm of each platform. So really it is that consistency, and we got to start one place consistently first before I'm going to push you anywhere else or get you to go anywhere else. But I do like what I like to call a diversified visibility strategy, because most of us, I see clients getting on a kick, like they'll only do video, which I love video, or they'll only do carousels, or they'll only do short form video. And we get to really understand that our audience digests things in different ways. And so we want to, depending on the platform we're on, if it offers all the opportunities to go live, to do short form video, to do carousels, to do text, we want to make sure that we're optimizing all of those opportunities, because each of our audience members digest things differently, and sometimes digest things differently on a specific day.
Now, do you talk to your clients about the website piece of it at all, or do you spend more of it on the social? Because I see a lot of people, they do a lot of things, but then they don't pay attention to their website and the importance of a website. Where Rob and I, 2 years ago, we thought websites were dead, the way they were working, but now their importance is back again with the AI piece.
Yeah. Well, we focus a lot, depending on what my clients do. Some of my clients, their main visibility comes from their SEO, from their searchability. So I think there's many methods and modalities of visibility. And I think being searchable and having a website presence is absolutely one of them. And also, if you sell a lot, also having a landing page where people don't get distracted and they go to the right thing, right? They go to the thing, they go to the thing that you want them to go to, and don't have a place where they can get distracted like a website. Because if we're focusing on an offer, we want to give that offer all the visibility, not like, oh, let me go down a rabbit hole and go down your website. So I think there's a place for both.
Well, and I think you're going to start seeing a change. So we're working on our brand new website that's going to be coming out, which we're kind of toying around with the idea of our social media suite and a bunch of different things for how we're doing tools and how our stack looks.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was looking over the website last week, I was going to do it to where the homepage is basically nothing but a landing page. And I think you're start seeing a trend for that, because really we have all this other stuff you could do, but you really don't care about all that. Here's our main thing. Sign up for this. And if you need the rest, it's all add-ons, and we can rock and roll it from there. If you want to pick it inside the pricing page, go for it. There's chances of you going through and reading every little thing inside of here are slim to none. And the attention span that we have from everybody that's out there is so small that you have to be able to grab it, get their information, get them to buy, and be able to move on. Because if you don't get them in that moment, you're going to lose them. Yeah. And I think that's why having a video inside of that landing page is going to be so crucial as well, because now they've built a connection. Now it's not, I'm just tossing something. That's going to stand out from somebody that doesn't have that video, and it allows you to kind of move all the way through.
Yeah. Isn't it? It's like around 40% increase in conversions when you add a video to the landing page, I think.
Right.
Yeah. And I saw that. I read a whole study this, I think it was over the weekend. I read a study about how there's for landing pages have a higher conversion because it allows them to be able to go in and be able to make a decision, and they didn't have to think about multiple things.
Yeah.
Which then makes me question, back in the day, we always said you had to have 3 different pricing models and you had to have 3 different packages because everything in threes. Has that changed to where it's just one now because people have a hard time making a decision and the rest would be add-ons? I don't know.
The program I have right now, we have 3 options. And it's interesting because most people are not taking the lowest option. They're taking the middle or the high option. So I do think in different scenarios, it works still. Yep. But yeah, I love that. I love that there are options and people can choose their proximity, or they can choose their level of support that they need by choosing those 3 options. You're still going to get an amazing experience from the cheapest option, right? Or the less expensive option, but you can just do more by having other options. So I still love that model.
I still like the 3. I'm curious if that's ever going to change and where that would end up doing. I'm not going to risk it at this point of doing 1 because for 1, it wouldn't work. Now inside of your funnel, when you're doing it, are you running it to where you have upsells and all that throughout your checkout?
Yeah. And if I do 1 option, you better believe I definitely also have an order bump right there, because again, you're basically leaving money on the table. If there's not a visible option to buy more while you already have your credit card out, then the answer is always no. And again, we're really screwing ourselves if we choose not to give them an option. If people want to pay you, let them pay you as much as they want to pay you.
Well, it goes back to the whole entire in-person sales. That whole entire sales flow is no different.
Yeah.
So when I was going through working on how our plans and everything are going to work for it, I found it really interesting how that's now really that digital representative. The person who is the digital person is your personality because you have your videos on it. You're explaining each of those pieces, but yet the website is really that sales agent that walks you through that process. It's no different than having that piece of paper and order form back in the day. Well, do you really need this? Do you think you need to bump it up? And if we're talking about marketing, I mean, the yellow page guy used to show up and want to go through and, well, I mean, A plumbing over here. If you add another A to it, we could probably get you up to that next level.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that same kind of concept of that same piece. So, I mean, there's so many different options. And I think that you have to remember, you only have about 3 seconds to grab someone's attention. If you don't grab it, you're done.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so true. I don't think when it comes to more proposal type, I don't think the three will ever go away. I think there always gets to be three options because, again, you get to show them what they're missing out on and what they're leaving on the table when they don't choose the top option, right? The most highest package. So I don't think I'll ever see it go away there. But again, it's one of the things I love. Our brains are actually, we love threes. Threes are patterns. There's like a lot of cell psychology in that. So I don't see it going away.
I mean, the power of three, use it in photography, use it in marketing, use it inside of interior design. Yeah. So going back to my whole entire roots of, growing up in the furniture business and interior design, we always did threes inside of showrooms and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why a lot of living rooms have couches, one couch, one love seat, and also one recliner, not two recliners, but then older people started making it two, and then that became a thing because it's like, hey, they have that kind of really understood.
What are you trying to say, Rob?
I have two recliners. Now I love my wife, but I don't want to always be close. I like my space over there. I want to be able to put both my hands up on armrests and put my feet in the air. But hey, but I mean, back when we used to style living rooms, I mean, that's how it was. You didn't put two inside of a showroom. You always put one because it was a power of three of those different pieces, and it gave a whole entire illusion. But hell, back in the 90s, you also had a coffee table. How many houses have a coffee table now? Dean's like mine does.
No, it does not. I have my ottoman.
There's cup holders now. You don't need that.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, hell, this new furniture, for one, it doesn't last very long. And for two, I mean, it has power sources and everything in it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
But I mean, I think there's a lot of changes we're going to see happen. I think that change is always a good thing. I agree with you on that, Crissy. And I think that people want to see things that are real and be able to connect and know that they're making the right decision. Just like I think a lot of contracts and stuff like that are going to start slimming way down because people want to be able to leave when they want to leave, and don't want to be, they feel like they're trapped if it's any other way. So I think that's going to adjust, especially in the online business world, that's going to adjust pricing some, and to where it's going to make it to where it kind of has a whole entire kind of reset in its way to cut out the ones that were just trying to scam along the way. So I think it's going to be a huge change.
Yeah.
So, Crissy, if anybody's interested in getting a hold of you, where would they find you at and all of those good details?
You can find me online at thevisibleceo.com. Everywhere else, I'm either Crissy Conner or it's Crissy Conner.
Right. Crissy Conner or it's Crissy Conner. So some of them you don't have, so you had to go, it's Crissy Conner?
Yeah.
I like it. That has a ring to it.
I thought I saw something about Visibility Queen or something like that somewhere too. Is that something else?
Well, I moved away from the Visibility Queen to the Visible CEO. About a year and a half ago, I rebranded because I felt like the Visibility Queen was about me, whereas I'm trying to support people to become the Visible CEO. But I do have a podcast called the Visibility Impact Show as well that you can search and find.
Thank you.
I don't know. That whole entire Queen and King has a really weird, all about me kind of approach. I agree on that. But we have a big competition for Simply Be Found. She calls herself the SEO Queen, and I've had a lot of fun with that inside of videos. If you ever want to watch those, but she also never puts herself out in public, and it's like, well, if you're going to call yourself a queen, why don't you start putting up video?
You got to show it. You got to show up.
Yeah, that's it.
And I love competition. I love a good competition back and forth. It's kind of like those, probably some of my favorite social media are the ones where they have sign wars. Where, McDonald's or Taco Bell decides to, go back and forth and diss each other along the way. I mean, that's some great advertising.
Yeah.
But, well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure. So.
Thank you.